All right, so we give praise, esteem, and honor to Abba and Shamayim in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach this day. Let's go to John chapter 5, verse 39. Search the scriptures, for in them you think you have eternal life, and they are they which testify of me. And you will not come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you, that you have not the love of Elohim in you. I come in my Abba's name, and you receive me not. Another shall come in his own name, him you will receive. How can you believe to receive honor one from another? Stop, boy! And not the honor that comes from Elohim only. What I told you, boy. And not the honor from Elohim only. Do not think what I accuse you. The Abba is one that accused you, even Moses, in whom you trust. Had you believed Moses, you would have believed me, for he wrote of me. But if you believe not his writings, how should you believe my words? All esteem and praise to Abba and Shamayim in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach. Let's go to Isaiah 11 and 1. Shalom, Eric. Shalom, Jake. And there shall come forth a rod out of the stem of Jesse, and a branch shall grow out of his roots. The Ruach of Yahuwah shall rest upon him, the Ruach of wisdom and understanding, the Ruach of counsel and might, the Ruach of knowledge and of the fear of Yahuwah. And it shall make him a quick understanding in the fear of Yahuwah. He shall not judge after, peace, brother Omar, he shall not judge after the sight of his eyes, neither reprove after the hearing of his ears. But with righteousness shall he judge the poor, and reprove with equity for the meek of the earth. He shall smite the earth with the rod of his mouth, and with the breath of his lips shall he slay the wicked. And righteousness shall be the girdle of his loins, and faithfulness the girdle of his reins. So, do we hit a tribe from Deuteronomy 33 and Genesis 49 today, or do we continue down the road dealing with judgment and a few other things? Let me look and see here. We ain't done Benjamin yet. We ain't done Levi yet. We haven't done Joseph from Deuteronomy 33 yet. The Joseph one is long, so you probably won't do that this evening. We've done Dan. We haven't done Naphtali. We haven't done Asher. Let's see how we want to do this here. Or do we want to just get straight into dealing with the resurrection of the dead? Shalom, AJ, man. So let's see. How we going to do this? Come over here to Genesis 30. I'll do Asher real quick. I'll get Asher out of the way. And then we'll get into this here because we do need to delve into what's in Isaiah 11 with the root. Because we ain't even dealt with that yet. Shalom. So let's hit this Genesis 30. Let me see where Asher at. Yes, son. How may I help you?
Put the rest in the bowl.
Genesis 30 and 12. What's happening with you, Zoe? And Zilpah, Leah's maid, bare a second son. Leah said, happy am I, for the daughters will call me blessed. She called his name Asher. Asher by definition. Y'all gotta chill out because I ain't trying to hear none of that. If you don't know how to behave, y'all can go to bed. I don't want to hear no excuses, no conversation, or nothing. Sort it out, figure it out. That's for both of y'all. And of course, Asher is happy, which of course is another word for blessed. Let's get to Deuteronomy 33. No, boy. You're always trying to touch stuff. Deuteronomy 33 and 24. And of Asher, he said, let Asher be blessed with children. Let him be acceptable to his brethren. Let us dip his foot in oil. Your shoes shall be iron and brass. As your days, so shall your strength be. There's none like unto the Elohim of Yeshurun, who ride upon Shamaim in your help and his excellency on the sky. The eternal Elohim is your refuge, and underneath are the everlasting arms. And he shall thrust out the enemy from before you and shall say, destroy. Yasharal shall then do us in safety alone. The fountain of Jacob shall be upon a land of corn and wine, and also his heavens shall drop down dew. Baruch are you, O Yasharal, who is like unto you, O people saved by Yahuwah, the shield of your help, who is the sword of your excellency, and your enemies shall be found liars unto you, and you shall tread on their high places. Shalom, shalom. So, being blessed with children. In this instance, and I mean on the surface, it's dealing with the destruction of the enemies of Yasharal. What's happening with you, Barry? Well, we finna get into it. Dang, I forgot what I read in Genesis 49. Oh, I didn't read Genesis 49. I'm sorry. Genesis 49 and 20. I'm sorry. I didn't read it. He said, out of Asher his bread shall be fat, and he shall yield royal dainties. I think we talked about this not too well. It feels like it's not that long ago, but it's probably about 6 months ago. Excuse me. So of course, bread is lakim. You're going to yield dainties. Of course, royal is melek. Dainties is madan, mean, ayin, dalet, and noon. This is dainty, food, delight. Delightful food. And then, of course, this delightful food is going to be blessed with children that would be acceptable to his brethren. Feet dipped in oil, shoes shall be as iron and brass. Now, I don't know what type of things is running through your mind. We'll deal with Genesis 49 first. Well, I just snoozed you, cuz. So, let's deal with that. Bread being fat. Let me give you the definition of fat. So we got to move with some shamaim, fat, rich, richer food, stout, robust, plenteous, rich. Let's take a look. You know where we're going. John chapter 6. Where else would you go? You can make it 43 on the general principle. Matter of fact, make it 31. Matter of fact, even better, 26. I need more. Come on, man. I just snoozed you, bro. I don't want to do that. John 6 and 26. Yahushua answered and said, truly, truly, I say unto you, you seek me not because you saw the miracles, but because you did eat loaves and were filled. Labor not for the meat which perish, but for the meat which endure unto everlasting life, which the son of Adam shall give unto you, for him of Elohim Abba sealed. Now, of course, if you recall in the parable of the sower, when he said, he that soweth seed among the thorns is those who get caught up with the cares and affairs of this life and the deceitfulness of riches, and they choke off the word which it can bring forth no fruit. And of course, last week we did a little laser focus on judgment. And we want to deal with a little bit on that as well, because judgment is a multifaceted deal. Judgment can encompass your understanding. It can encompass your wisdom. It encompasses your discernment. It encompasses your faith. It encompasses a multitude of things. And judgment, ultimately, which we're going to see if we get to the sword part that I desire to do based off the conversation we were having yesterday. It will reveal the plots, plans, and devices of your inward man. I've told you many times before. I said it last week and I say it again. There's absolutely no secret of the heart that your behavior will not uncover. Your behavior will expose you every single solitary time. The words of your mouth can expose you every single solitary time. He said, out the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. You know what I'm talking about? You can only cover up your true intentions, desires, and vices, but for so long before your heart tell on you. That's why he say, by their fruits, you're going to know them. You know what I'm saying? We were talking about this yesterday, what I told y'all, and I'm just mentioning it because I just was listening to a clip because Mama Steph shared this live with the dude who had been doing that exposing. I promise y'all have no idea what it's like to be in an oppressive congregation. I promise you don't. You have no idea what some of these people is really dealing with out here for real. You know what I'm talking about? You have no idea. And I know it'd be hard to encapsulate it when you don't experience it directly, but y'all got no idea the type of stuff these niggas be doing out here, man. You know what I'm talking about? And people be sitting right there dealing with it, man. I'm talking about for years. Niggas be doing all type of foul stuff, man. Slow on, sister. So you were just looking at that? Let me see what it say. 2 Chronicles 16. Verse 10. 2 Chronicles 16 and 10. Oh, for sure. I'm going to back this up, man. This is dealing with Asa, the king. I think this is the same king. And this is what I was telling somebody the other day, right? Niggas be running down on people. You want them to hear this and hear that. But I think the king that stepped to Asa, when Asa was like, man, who you is think you can step to me? Well, that prophet said, boy, I see you who are determined to kill you. He slid. You know what I'm talking about? He ain't sit back and say, I'm going to make him repent. I'm going to make him do this here. He slid. See, a lot of y'all don't only, what's happening with you, Tavon? A lot of y'all don't have that thought process to understand that. Well, God not finna go back and forth with you, man. Man, once your heart get exposed, your heart make the judgment for you. That's why when David did that, and Nathan told him that was you, he doesn't condemn himself. His heart had already condemned him. You know what I'm saying? His heart had already condemned him. But the sad part with us in these days and times is our heart be condemning us, but we so lifted up in pride that we don't even know it. That's the ugly part. You know what I'm talking about? 2 Chronicles 16 and 1. I pick it up right there. And I work my way down to 10 because verse 9 is the one that's right on time. In the 36th year of the reign of Asa, Baasha, Malach of Yasharal, came up against Yehuda and built to Ramah, to the intent that he might let none go out or come in to Asa, Malach of Yehuda. Then Asa brought out silver and gold out of the treasures of the house of Yehuda and of the king's house, and sent to Ben-Hadad, Malach of Syria, that dwelt at Damascus, saying, a league between me and you, as there was between my Abba and your Abba. Behold, I sent you silver and gold. Go break your league with Baasha, Malach of Yasharal, that he may depart from me. Ben-Hadad hearkened unto King Asa, and sent the captains of his armies against the cities of Yasharal, and they smelled Ijon, Dan, Abelmaim, and all the cities of Naphtali. Came to pass when Baasha heard it, that he left off building Ramah and let his work cease. Then Asa, the king, took all Yehuda, and they carried away the stones of Ramah and the timber thereof, wherewith Baasha was building, and he built what there in Gibeah and Mitzpah. And at that time, Hanai the seer came to Asa, Malach of Yehuda, and said unto him, because you have relied on the king of Syria, and not relied on Yahuwah your Elohim, therefore is the host of the Malach of Syria escaped out of your hand. Were not the Ethiopians and the Lubians a huge host, with very many chariots and horsemen? Yet because you did rely on Yahuwah, he delivered them into your hand. For the eyes of Yahuwah run to and fro throughout the whole earth to show himself strong in behalf of them whose heart is perfect towards him. Herein you have done foolishly, therefore from henceforth you shall have wars. Then Asa was wroth with the seer and put him in a prison house, for he was in a rage with him because of this thing. And Asa oppressed some of the people the same time. Now, when you look at what is it to be oppressed in this particular instance, and of course, you know, in Acts 10 and 34, you know, Yahushua came to heal all those who were oppressed of the devil. But that's a whole nother conversation. When you look at oppressed, it is resats, and that's someone who is crushed, oppressed, to be broken, to be grievously oppressed, to be crushed into pieces. And when I tell you that it's people out here who crushing people into pieces, man, see, I'm not talking about a nigga said something and you don't like it. I ain't talking about a nigga made a decision and you don't agree with it. You know what I'm talking about? Boy, I'm talking about, boy, these people out here oppressing people. You understand me? I'm talking about they stamping on people's foot, man. Shalom, Brother Ernest. I'm talking about they ruling over people with rigor. I'm talking about with rigor. You hear, man, if you in the right spaces and places, you can hear people complain about it all the time. Now, I think I told you this once before because Boot watched the video with me when we seen it. It was some people, man, talking about that congregation was oppressing them. I ain't respect it. I didn't respect it for one reason and one reason alone. Because they said they stayed there for years and watched them people oppress a whole bunch of people. And they didn't have a problem with it until it was them. Then they wanted to speak out. You know what I'm saying? Nah, man, if niggas oppressing people, man, and you see that, man, you supposed to call that out and slide first quarter. First quarter. You ain't supposed to sit there and turn your head and somebody's crushing and grievously stepping on the necks of the people, man, and you be like, well, it ain't me. And then want sympathy when it's you. Or you see niggas doing wickedly and you don't say nothing until y'all fall out. Oh, that's wicked as hell, boy. That's wicked as hell, boy. Ain't no way around that. And I promise you, most of y'all ain't seen no oppression. Boy, people going through it out here. I told you before, y'all think it's a game. There's people giving these men all their bread for real. There's dudes out here taking niggas' old ladies and smashing them for real. There's niggas out here making niggas do labor in the name of the congregation, ain't paying them nothing. I ain't talking about doing stuff for the ministry, man. I'm talking about doing personal labor. Ain't paying these niggas nothing. These niggas doing their junk for free. You know what I'm talking about? Got these people living out here and they control everything they got. Well, you got people bowing the knee. What's happening with you yet to die to grown men, man, calling them their daddy, man? Got these men out here working on farms for the free. You got niggas taking niggas' daughters and selling them off and getting the dowry and you ain't getting nothing. But you got niggas who berating niggas, man. I'm talking about emasculating niggas, doing all type of stuff. Man, y'all don't, I'm trying to tell you, you ain't seen no oppression. Man, these people out here really going through it in the word. Why you think a lot of these people turn away from it? They ain't turning away from it necessarily because of the word. They turning away from it because of the work of wicked men. They blame God for it. Who you telling? Listen, you got congregations where people been murdered and the congregation covered it up. You know what I'm talking about? Straight like that. And oppress people if they got anything to say about it. You got congregations and people say, hey, man, this wickedness going on, such and such. Man, these people do these people dirty, man. Paint their name bad, give people no contact orders, all type of stuff. Man, y'all just don't know. You know what I'm saying? In that regard, you should be happy you naive. Luke 6:26. I'm telling you, it's bad out here, man. It's just most of y'all not privy. In 2025, I get the cares in it for the. Oh man, but they've been doing it for years though, bro. They've been doing it for years, man. Man, you get a lot of people, bro, to be honest with you. They be so gung-ho to find out we Israelites, or gung-ho to be a part of something that they feel like is really God's work, or this person really a man of God, and these people know this, and they take advantage of it, and they exploit people. You know what I'm talking about? And the thing is, for a good long season, a lot of people, they want to be exploited. You know what I'm saying? Until they come to some type of common sense. You know what I'm saying? Look here, man. I told y'all this last year, man. When we started finding out about that information, I'm telling you, man, niggas buy land, have all these people move on that land. Them people don't own that land. Them people don't own the homes on that land. And then you got them niggas working on that land. You know what I'm talking about? They not getting paid. You know what I'm talking about? And he taking their pay if they work outside the land. Straight like that. And niggas know the word well enough. See, some of y'all be like, niggas never do me like that. You only looking at it like that because of the amount of words you done heard at this point. You don't know what you would go for if they caught you at a certain time in your life with a certain thought process. You just hope you wouldn't go for that. Because you don't know what type of mind God will give you. You know what I'm talking about? Because these people just ain't necessarily stupid. Individuals really just work that word like that and they think it's right. You know what I'm saying? And then people have a overwhelming trust that the person who's standing in front of people, they really believe that God sent them and this person wouldn't lie to them. You know what I'm talking about? Besides a lot of people having daddy issues, but that's a whole nother thing. We'll say, yeah, that's not having compassion. Indeed, main reason why I can care less about being fitted in, etc. I don't blame you. You take it right. Average person don't know the word like that. Let's just go ahead and be honest with it. Average person don't know the word like that. Most people don't read enough. You know what I'm saying? You don't study enough to actually know what's in there. So these people can come at you and hit you with this, that, there, and the third and string some stuff along and it sound good and they making it look good. And you like, hey, they doing something for the people, especially when you come at, back away from that. Back away from that. That's not what you do. Just set a timer. Because she gonna want to do that. Get away from that other. You on the snail. Now when you get burnt, don't come crying to me. So when you got that going on, man, like I promise to you, y'all just don't know. I told you this plenty of times. Boy, don't never think. You know what I'm saying? You this, that, there, and the third because you perceive of what level of understanding the Lord allow us to have. Because I promise to you, most majority of brews, they not hearing what he allowing us to know. I can promise you that because I'm around these people on a regular basis. They not. They are not. They are not. They are getting trash. I'm on a regular basis. On a regular basis. Now, some of these people, organizations, they're not exploiting these people, but a lot of them, they is. You know what I'm saying? We literally just heard about a dude say he's supposed to took tithe money to buy a pagan kid. You know what I'm saying? These people step right on your neck, man. You'll fund their whole lifestyle. Straight like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, look here, man. I told y'all this last year. There's no way if we bought some land that it would be put in a trust and I own it. Everybody got to own it. And everybody got to own the house they got on it. Because you got to be able to get that to your son. If you can't get that to your son, what's the purpose of doing it? You know what I'm saying? But see, when you have this type of stuff go on, that's where the fragmentation come in at. Because see, what a lot of people get caught up in, because their reality is, mass majority of people who in the word don't have no love in them because they selfish. You know what I'm saying? See, 1 Corinthians 13 tell you that love seek not our own. So you can't come in the word first and foremost and think about how everything gonna benefit me. How is it gonna benefit me? How is it gonna benefit me? You already got the wrong mind. You know what I'm talking about? So these individuals are preying on people who actually don't have that mind. You know what I'm saying? That they had a mind of, how can I do something that's gonna benefit everybody or benefit the congregation? See, notice I said everybody in the congregation and not the pastor, because some niggas kick the game, so you think that's your job to benefit him. You know what I'm saying? And you know these things when you actually study in the word, man. You know what I'm saying? See, people don't actually study the word. See, look here, right? We went through that whole process of how the financial system set up, how the offices is set up, how the office is supposed to work, how the congregation is supposed to run, so you would be able to know the difference. Now, if you don't go back and look on it after that, that's your fault. Shalom, Brother Robert. Yeah, that's your fault. But I'm telling you, that's how these people roll, man. You know what I'm saying? We were talking about this the other day, then I'll proceed. You could go in the Christian church, them people don't got no problem giving their bread for this, that, there, and the third. You come with more Hebrews, they ain't giving nothing. You know what I'm saying? We were just talking about this a day or two ago. Hebrews ain't giving nothing. You know what I'm talking about? And then they wonder why we don't do nothing. Because nobody has the thought process of a collective effort. And the niggas who do get some money, man, they take it from the people. And the people love getting it to them. You know what I'm talking about? So that doesn't just be ugly all across the board. Wicked niggas gonna catch their judgment. It is what it is. But the biggest aspect of knowing how to have proper judgment of what we're gonna look at and what the word of show is. Remember, we read it last week. The man say, if you be the greatest among you, let him be your servant. And that we're not supposed to be benefactors, meaning you doing something to be able to try to benefit off of others. That means you're not seeking your own personal gain first. That's how the Lord told you he set this thing up. If we don't have that type of, that's why he say greater love has no love than this, that a man lay his life down for his friends. He didn't just say for your family. He didn't just say for this person over here. That's why he say, man, if you show love to those, hey, y'all making too much noise. Why y'all doing that? That's disrespectful. I'm talking about all three of y'all. I lost my train of thought, man. So when he tell you that there's greater love than this, that the man lay his life down for his friends, you know what I'm saying? It's the aspect of thinking on, I'm not thinking about me. Remember, he said, what think have you if you love those that love you? That don't mean nothing to him because you can show love to somebody who you know will do the same for you. Can you do it for a nigga who don't like you? Can you do it for somebody you don't like? Can you do it for somebody you don't know? Is every decision and thought that you make, is it how you going to benefit first? Because if not, the love of God ain't in you. It's not. You know what I'm talking about? And when you go around and you see how a lot of brews move, you can see that the love of God is not in us as a collective. You know what I'm saying? I'm not parsing out individuals. I'm talking about as a collective, as a whole, because everybody out for self. And when you out for self, that's not the will of God. That's not how he operates. That's not how he operates at all. You know what I'm saying? I said, it's at the forefront of my mind, because we just had this conversation yesterday. You know what I'm saying? Because my dog was like, he'll pay tithes, he don't care. He done it before in the organization he was in. Other brothers were like, no, I ain't giving them niggas nothing. It was food. Like, you gonna bring a nigga some canned tomatoes? What the hell you gonna do with that? Like, that's how niggas think. Cause I'm gonna do everything I want. I put God last. He could get what's left over. You know what I'm saying? Well, that's a sour deal. But that's how we move. And I ain't talking about just monetarily either. You know what I'm talking about? Because if you think I'm just talking about some Federal Reserve notes, you clearly are not paying attention. We will genuinely give any and every bit of our energy to everything else and let Yahuwah get what left over. That man don't want that. You better remember what it Cain and Abel. He want the best. Don't give me what's left over, because when you're giving me what's left over, you giving me what you want to give me. You know what I'm saying? What if what you giving him he don't want? Indeed, that is Haggai. We can look at it right now. I used to hear people use this line all the time. Don't you know what I'm saying? Don't let the world use you up, and God don't use you, or whatever the case may be. But the reality is, it's not just about money, man. You know what I'm saying? If this is what you're doing, you dedicate your life to it. That man said, did you sit down and count the cost? Can you pay that? Can you dedicate your life to that? Will you put this first? Will you put him before what you want to do? Because if you can't do that, you ain't going to be saved. Boy, I promise you that. It's going to be impossible. You ain't going to have the requisite faith when that type of decision has to be made, when it's life or death. Again, it's all about the way you think. Facts. I tend to find myself putting ahead of me too much. Yeah, you don't want to, and there's a balance with that. You know, there's a balance of putting, you know what I'm saying? Because to a certain extent on natural side of things, you do have to be selfish from time to time. But when it comes to godly things, you can never be like that. Because remember, he said one of the elements of love is love don't seek our own. You know what I'm saying? It don't seek our own. So we have to transition our mind out of selfish motivation. You know what I'm saying? Because selfish motivation lead to condemnation every single solitary time. That's what you just seen with Asa. Asa had selfish motivation in 2 Chronicles 16. Instead of relying on Yahuwah, he was motivated by his own desires, and that got him cut off. When you go back and you look at this word, when you see people who got cut off, you'll always see that they selfish motivations is what got them in trouble. And you'll pay attention to the people who didn't seek their own. Yahuwah was always there for them, always delivered them, always was strong on their behalf. You have to pay attention to that bit of nuance, man. This stuff bigger than just able to throw out some precepts, man. You got to be picking up with the man putting down. He's giving you game in life for you to be able to succeed in the Ruach, not just naturally. Anybody can throw precepts out here. Can you pick up the information to be able to develop a complete godly character so that when individuals encounter you, they can say of a truth, the living God is in you? You know what I'm saying? That should be the objective. All that other stuff, man, that junk just good in your obituary. You know what I'm talking about? That junk just look good in your obituary, this, that, there, and the third. But boy, what that living testimony in heaven gonna look like? That's what we have to be concerned with, because these niggas wilding out here. I promise y'all don't have no idea how bad it is out here, man, with some of the foolery that these niggas be on, man. Like straight like that. You got congregations, dudes know these niggas beating on their old lady, niggas covering it up. You know what I'm saying? And gonna ridicule you and put you out if you got something to say about it. You know what I'm saying? Niggas disrespect niggas' wives. Niggas do all type of stuff, man. Egregious. With no concern or regard, and do it with impunity. I told you before, you got these people, these congregations, they want to run people's lives, man. They want to run people's lives. They want to tell you where you can go, where you can work, when you can go somewhere, how long you can be there, who you can marry, when you can marry. Y'all have no idea. Straight up and down. They'll tell so many people where they can live, where they can't live. And you'll be like, oh, them people stupid for going for that. But shoot, it's only by the grace of God that ain't you. You have to go back to the beginning of when you first started. Shalom, me. Oh, you good, me. You got to go back to the mind you had when it first clicked. That you needed to seek God with your whole mind, heart, and soul, and think about the basis of information where you was at now, and then consider what you may or may have not went for if you go back that 10 years, them 15 years, them 5 years, them 7 years. You could have ran across the right person, boy. They could have cooked that food real good. That junk look good, taste good to you the whole time. It's poison in that hole. You know what I'm saying? But you ain't gonna know it's poison in there until you killed over. Now it's too late. It's like that for a lot of people, man. You know what I'm saying? That type of stuff that go where you end up at and the type of words you hear, man, that stuff is strictly contingent on the mind that Yahuwah gave you. So you better thank Yahuwah he ain't give you no mind to follow behind no damn fool. And I ain't talking about the individual. I'm talking about the work he's selling. And if you know that he gave you a mind to actually follow behind righteousness and you slacking on your macking, you better remember what he told you in Revelation 3. We just read it a couple weeks ago. You better strengthen the things that remain which are ready to die. He said, I don't find your works perfect before God. He said, you better go ahead and tighten up before I snatch that candlestick. Don't think that you could just sit around shoo-shooing and poo-poo and playing and laying, and this man won't blow your candlestick out. You know what I'm talking about? And you can blow your candlestick out and be alive. Blowing your candlestick out don't mean you dead, man. That means he's going to remove your spot and give you a bad mind. A mind that you could take yourself to hell because that's really where you want to go. It's a fine line between that. You have to be diligent. You have to be focused. You have to be consumed with salvation and continually. All that going through the motions, that junk ain't hitting on nothing. Haggai 1 and 3, man. Shoot, you can make it 1 and 2. Thus speaketh Yahuwah of hosts, saying, this people say, the time has not come, the time that Yahuwah's house should be built. Then came the word of Yahuwah by Haggai the prophet. Is it time for you, O you, to dwell in your sealed houses, and this house lie waste? Now therefore, thus saith Yahuwah of hosts, consider your ways. You sow much and you bring in little. You eat, but you have not enough. You drink, but you're not filled with drink. You clothe you, but there's none warm. And he that earn wages to put it into a bag with holes. Thus saith Yahuwah of hosts, consider your ways. And that's something that we have to do at all times. Consider your ways. Let's go back over here to Deuteronomy. Oh, we were dealing with John 6. That, what it is, royal dainties. Royal dainties. Everybody like royal dainties. Yes. Asher's bread, he that is blessed, bread shall be fat, and he's going to yield royal dainties. John 6, I make that swift. I promise you, listen to these niggas, man. That John's sad. Mama said, I started listening to a little bit of that nigga video, man. That nigga was making my head hurt. I think he trying. Well, ain't no think I know what he trying to do. He trying to get members. I don't even know why he was dissing Cap. Cap ain't even say nothing about the man. Cap focus on Gorilla. He going off on Cap. Yeah, that's the only conclusion I can come to. 6 and 26. Shalom, East man. That's the only conclusion I can come to. Yeah, I heard that part, and that's what made my head hurt. Because then after that, I ain't want to listen to no more. That's what I was listening to right before I sat down. I'm like, yeah, I don't want to hear no more. John 6 and 26. Yahushua answered them and said, truly, truly, I say unto you, you seek me not because you saw the miracles, because you did eat the loaves of and were filled. Labor not for the meat which perish, but for the meat which endure unto everlasting life, which the Son of Adam shall give unto you. For him of Elohim Abbasil. Then said they unto him, what shall we do that we might work the works of Elohim? Yahushua answered and said unto them, this is the work of Elohim, that you believe on him whom he hath sent. They said, therefore unto him, what sign show you, that we may see and believe you? What do you work? Our fathers did eat manna in the desert, as it is written, he gave them bread from heaven to eat. Then Yahushua said unto them, truly, truly, I say unto you, Moses gave you not the bread from heaven, but my Abba give you the true bread from heaven. For the bread of Elohim is he which come down from Shamahim and give life unto the world. Then said they unto him, Lord, evermore give us this bread. Yahushua said unto them, I am the bread of life. He that come to me shall never hunger. He that believe on me shall never thirst. Now, when you turn around and you look at this here, because I'm going to make this swift, because we just dealt with this not too long ago, and I'm not going to draw this out. That bread be fat, which will be robust. When you look at that bread, which is that bread, y'all willing that we'll be partaking in very soon, which is his flesh, which is his body, what does that bread produce? Let's go over here to 1 Corinthians 11 and 25. I know we did read this the other day with Paul admonishing them people how they were behaving on the feast. You can get it 11:24, I believe. Or 23 is fine. Because one of the things that we be neglecting to pay attention to is them people in them congregations back then was wilding too. You know what I'm saying? See, and what I mean by that, when we're talking about wilding, man, we're talking about the thoughts of the heart, how man's heart is. See, and what I mean by that, we could get in the word, you start the process of fellowshipping, doing this, doing that, you know what I'm saying, convocating, so on and so forth. But then after a period of time, you get complacent. You know what I'm saying? And in that complacency, you can begin to fall back into bad habits, especially if you hadn't mortified them habits. Like I mentioned this, Revelation 3 and 2, be watchful and strengthen the things which remain that are ready to die. For I have not found your works perfect before Elohim. You know what I'm saying? And there's the other one when he say you need to remember, repent, and go back and do your first works. Let me find that verse for you. See, I'll read you 2 and 19 of Revelation 2, where you tell him this. I know your works and your love and your service and your faith and your patience and your works, and the last to be more than the first. But he said, with them, I got something against you, because he said, you let Jezebel come in here and run a doggone mouth. There we go. This is Revelation 2 and 4 is what I desire. He said, nevertheless, I have somewhat against you, because you have left your first love. Remember, therefore, from whence you are fallen, and repent and do the first works, Or else I will come unto you quickly and remove your candlestick out of its place, except you repent, because those people got complacent. You know what I'm saying? And it happens. You get complacent. You go to thinking I'm doing you when you go to start going through the motions and you ain't hungry like the werewolf of London like you were when you start. You don't move with the same fervor and you think that you good. You know what I'm saying? But you ain't realizing you ain't moving with the first love that you had when you started. You know what I'm saying? And it happens more often than not. So I don't want you to think if you're looking at yourself and you thinking, dang, I be doing that. That you in a class by yourself. It happened with a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people. Because they just don't stay hungry. You just get comfortable. You know what I'm saying? Usually when that happens, usually life happens to get you uncomfortable. This is part of the reasons why you say you got to go through much tribulations for the word's sake. You know what I'm saying? As Prodigy put it, it's an off-road course. You know what I'm saying? But it's a good thing because it creates balance. Because sometimes he got to balance you out. You know what I'm talking about? And sometimes you need that adversity and tribulation in order to strengthen your faith to balance you out for him to get your attention. So yeah, that's happening to me currently. Old habits come up here and there. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes you need to know that. Hey, I thought you might have thought you mortified that, but you didn't. 11 and 23, 1 Corinthians. Yeah, and that's what affliction is for. Remember, he say, "I counsel you to buy me gold purged through the fire." The affliction is to purge out the impurities. That's really what it's for. It's to get the impurities out. It's for perfection's sake. You know what I'm saying? Now, we're not talking about self-inflicted stuff now. Some stuff is self-inflicted, and some stuff isn't. And you know if it's self-inflicted or not. For I have received of the Lord that which I've also delivered unto you, that the Lord Yahushua, the same night in which he was betrayed, took bread. And when he had given thanks, he brake and said, "Take, eat, this is my body, which is broken for you. This do in remembrance of me." After the same manner, he also took the cup which he had when he had supped, saying, "This cup is the New Testament in my blood. This do you as often as you drink it in remembrance of me. For as often as you eat this bread and drink this cup, you do show the Lord's death till he come." Now we want to take it a step further because we got Joel and Micah to get off the board. We want to come over here to the book of Joel. And I think we want to be in chapter 1. Let me see. Or is it chapter 2? I just read it before I came in here. Come over here to Joel chapter 1. There it is. Joel 1 and 1. Joel 1 and 1. The word of Yahuwah that came to Joel, the son of Pethuel. Hear this, you old men, and give ear, all you inhabitants of the land. Have this been in your days, or even the days of your father? Tell you your sons of it. Let your sons tell their sons, and their sons another generation. That which the palmer worm have left, the locust eaten, and that which the locusts have left, have the canker worm eaten, and that which the canker worm have left, that the caterpillar eaten. Awake, you drunkards, and weep, and howl, all you drinkers of wine, because of the new wine, for it's cut off from your mouth. For a nation has come upon my land, stronger without number, whose teeth are as the teeth of a lion. He have the cheek of a great lion. He have laid my vine waste, and barked my fig tree. He have made it clean, bare, and cast away the branches thereof are made white. Lament like a virgin, girded with sackcloth for the husband of a youth. See, lament like a virgin. What comes to your mind when you hear lament like a virgin? I need to see where your memory at. Lament like a virgin. What comes to your mind when you hear lament like a virgin? We ain't talking about like Madonna's like a virgin. Some of y'all too young to even know that record. I'm sorry. I apologize. Hey, no. So, what is lament like a virgin? What comes to your mind for that? Lament like a virgin. You know what should have came to your mind? And that would be right on that. That's right on the line right there, Nate. It's Jephthah's daughter when she was weeping and wailing for her virginity in Judges 11. Yes, sir. That's right, Jessica. Jephthah's daughter, which would take it to where Mashiach was wailing his virginity at the time of his death because he was a virgin. He was pure. He was undefiled. He was weeping for his virginity, fulfilling that aspect of the word. Right? I'm focusing on that for a reason. Because when we look at verse 9 of Joel chapter 1, the meat offering and the drink offering is cut off from the house of Yahuwah. The priests, Yahuwah's ministers mourn. Now, what is this meat offering and drink offering that's cut off? Because what should you remember from your law? You have to give unleavened bread and a wine offering for. Let's just look at the law for those who may not be familiar with what I'm talking about. Numbers 28. Because remember, this bread is fat, it's robust, and then it yields royal dainties. Make sure I'm saying it right. I'm sorry. His bread is fat, and then he will yield royal dainties. He will yield royal meat. That's why we're focusing on the aspect of eating with his flesh, because you're eating the king's flesh in this instance. The king's flesh. 28 and 16, book of Numbers. I'll drop down to verse 20. Well, I just read 16 so you know it's unleavened bread. And in the 14th day of the first month, the Passover of Yahuwah. And in the 15th day of this month, the feast, 7 days shall unleavened bread be eaten. And the first day, a Kadash convocation. You shall do no manner of servile work. You shall offer a sacrifice made by fire, a burnt offering unto Yahuwah, 2 young bullocks, 1 ram, 7 lambs of the first year. And they shall be unto you without blemish. And their meat offering, flour mingled with oil, 3/10 deal. And you shall offer for a bullock 2/10 deal. And then, of course, when you drop on down to verse 24, and after this manner, you shall offer throughout the 7 days meat of the sacrifice made by fire, a sweet savor unto Yahuwah. And it shall be offered besides the continual burnt offering and his drink offering. I know we were just looking at something with a sweet savor. We were talking about that also. The niggas steady want to try to call Jacob wicked about the stuff that went down with Esau, which is unfortunate. I do not understand nor can even reason or rationalize in my mind why men have the utter negacity and unmitigated gall to speak against men more righteous than them. That junk amazes me. That junk is baffling to me. Do you know what I'm saying? Because I can't look at none of you niggas and see where God said you was a perfect man who dwelt in the tent. Because that's what he said about Jacob. You know what I'm talking about? That's what he said about this man. You know what I mean? That junk is wild to me. Shalom, Sister Kelly. That junk is wild to me. He stole his brother's birthright. You can't steal nothing from somebody that they're willing to give. You know what I'm saying? You can't. And I'm gonna tell you, because I almost got frustrated this morning about this here, because people be missing the component of paying attention to character. Like I think we was having a conversation about, okay, Yahuwah was gonna kill all the people, but he didn't. And they focus on it's because of the bloodline. No, it's not because of the bloodline. It's because of his integrity. He said, because I swore an oath to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. You so focused that he's doing it for the bloodline, he's showing you how integral of an Elohim he is. That since I said this, just because you did this and I will be justified in doing it because I'm so real, because I'm so thorough, I'm not going to do that. But the only thing that you can focus on is you. You can't even look at his character and say, you know what? If somebody disbelieved me, murmured against me, spoke evil against me, and I did nothing but good unto them, that in the character that I possess, I can remain merciful even when they don't deserve it. That's what you're supposed to call, not you focusing on no goddamn bloodline. But individuals have not even gotten to the depths of godliness to even pay attention to that, because you want it to be about you versus look at his character. Look at his character. Look what he did and what he didn't do and what he could have done and the choice that he made because of who he is. Not because of you, but because of who he is. They can't even peep that to say, yeah, that's why I trust this God with my whole mind, heart, and soul. Just skip over their brain. Just skip right over their brain. Now, I said that because everybody be like, Jacob should have did his brother like that. He should have gave him the beans. And Esau ain't have to sell his birthright for the beans either. He ain't have to say, what good is this birthright to me, seeing I'm finna die. He wanted the wealth of this world more than he wanted God. Nigga, don't pay attention to that. He esteemed natural things greater than what God had to give. He wasn't willing to suffer for a small amount of time. He threw it all away for temporary pleasure. That's what a nigga missing. Niggas will throw their whole blessing away for temporary pleasure. That's why I be telling y'all, man, you can't be pressed to be having sex, man. What's wrong with you? You're going to spend more time of your life not having sex than having sex, and you let your whole mind be predicated with that. That is embarrassing. As a man, that's embarrassing, bro. It's 168 hours in a week. I can guarantee you won't spend half of them having coitus. You will not be spending 84 hours doing that. You won't be spending anywhere close to it. But our minds be enraptured and caught up with pleasure that you will do the very thing Esau did and you won't even realize it. Because you'll esteem what feels good in that moment greater than eternity. That's people's problem. People don't pay attention. They're not peeping the game. They're not learning the lesson. They're not peeping the wisdom. And that's why people don't know what to do when they get faced with situations. Because you're carnal. Because you're not paying attention to character. You're not paying attention to intangibles. You not going inward. He say he desire wisdom in the inward part. You not going inward. You staying on the surface. That's how you're going to go to hell, because the word will not be able to fall into your lab and die and bring forth much fruit. It's not going to be able to do it, because you want to stay here where it's easy, where you can just go through the motions. You understand? This ain't high school, man. This ain't college where you can go through the motions, man. You got to really be on this. You just can't go through life just trying to get by and think you're going to have great success. You might can luck up in the world. You're not going to luck up and have great success with this here. Not if you're not all in and dedicated. You're going to go to hell. And you're not going to go to hell because I'm saying you're going to go to hell. You're going to go to hell because you're not going to put in the required effort. You're not going to be able, you ain't going to have no root in yourself when tribulation or persecution arise because of the word. Or you're going to get choked off by the cares and affairs of this life and the deceitfulness of riches. It's going to be outside stimuli that is going to continually and regularly distract you because you're not focused. You know what I'm saying? Because you worry about the wrong thing. And the word show that, because this man's word is yielding royal dainties, which is royal meat, which means you get to sit down at the marriage supper of the Lamb. That's what it yields. He said, his bread make you fat and make you robust. It's going to give you life. And then you can sit down at the king's table and feast with him. This is what it's going to produce, because he's blessed. That's the blessing of those who come across it. Then he say, blessed be your children. Then when he talking about with your feet being iron, he talking about rulership, man. Because he a king. And if you're the son of the king, you should know this from Ezekiel 45 and 46, he give gifts to all his sons. All his sons get an inheritance. But you can't be his son if you're not willing to diligently follow after and listen to your father. Yahushua said repeatedly, I didn't come to do my own will. I came to do the will of him that sent me. I ain't seeking my own pleasure. I ain't seeking my own desires. Because if I did that, then I won't fulfill the will of God. He put the will of God before what he wanted. That's what all of us have to do. And do you have the desire to do that? Did you count the cost that you were even able to pay that? You know what I'm saying? Because what I'm eventually going to get to from that Isaiah 11 is taking it to Daniel 4 about the tree to get cut down, but the roots stay in the ground and then the tree start growing again, which is a part of the resurrection of the dead and all the branches that come from that tree and everybody lodging under the shadow of that tree, being able to be partakers of the fruit of that tree. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a real deal thing, man. This is the most rewarding thing that you could ever accomplish in your entire life if you are willing and dedicated to do it. Remember, you got to serve him with a ready heart and a willing mind. If you ain't willing to do that, I don't know how you're going to be successful. That don't just go for y'all, that go for me, that go for everybody. If we're not willing to do this with a ready heart and a willing mind, how do you think you're going to be successful? How? We've been sitting for all this month of March, we've been sitting listening to people be able to point out the sins of other people, looking for the sins of other people. Nigga ain't perfect they damn self. You know what I'm saying? Like all type of stuff, man. All this stuff that I done seen this whole entire month, what niggas got going. Niggas' hearts getting exposed. Niggas thinking people getting exposed for being wicked. People getting exposed. Your heart not right with God. Ain't nobody paying attention to that because you trying to look at the next nigga and try to point out what he ain't doing or what you see with him. Nigga, did you do that with yourself? And instead of pointing something out, did you point it out for the purpose to strengthen your brother? Or did you point that out just to point it out because you could feel like you had some leverage in the ups? Because that's what we be doing. Because that's damn sure what I've been seeing these niggas do for the last month. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I got the ups. I got the ups. That's terrible. And if people don't want the ups, they just want to cast it away. Be merciful to them. You ain't going to say nothing to him. But we in a bad way, boy. I'm talking about, boy, all these people who say they want the Lord to come back. Well, you don't want that man to come back around this corner. I promise you, you don't. I've been telling you that for years, boy. People like, I can't wait for the Lord to come back. You lying to yourself. Because if you know your soul ain't ready to meet him, then you want that man to take as much time as he possibly desires. You be like they said, take your time, Lord. Shoot, matter of fact, you ain't got to ride the horse. You can walk if you want to. Take your time. Why you think he take his time? Peter told you that. So that people can come to repentance, so you can get the Ruach, so you can be perfected. Because, man, that man come around that corner, most of us going to die. Because you're not ready. Yeah, absolutely. Go back to his mercy every time. But nobody pays attention to that because they don't value it. And you know why we don't value his mercy? Because you didn't earn it. One thing I've learned in life, that people do not appreciate what they don't earn. You don't value it, and you don't have the proper respect for it. That's why he said the publicans and the harlots are getting. See, people who really been out here and they know they ought to been dead and went to hell, they value his mercy because they know that though I didn't earn it, I know what I owe him. I know he ought to kill me, and he didn't. You know what I'm saying? People who ain't really repentant about what they had going on out here, man. You know what I'm saying? They don't look at his mercy like that. They don't look at situations they were in when they know they could have died, and they would have died without knowing who the true and living Elohim Yahuwah of hosts is. And they know if it wasn't him, it was something that spared my life to get me to this point that when I heard the gospel that I repented and believed so that I could be born again. So you value that. You value that. Amen, Mother Strong. You value that. A lot of people don't value that. Listen to people conversation. When they talk about that, when they talk about him, you can tell if they value his mercy. Remember, he said, he that loveth much, much is forgiven. He that loveth little, little is forgiven. See, the one that love Elohim the most, they know what they've done out here. They know what they've done. And it ain't got to be a whole bunch of litany of a whole bunch of wicked things. Shoot, it could be 3 things. But in the mind of that person, those 3 things were so damnable that they like, I love this man forever because he could have killed me and he didn't. He showed mercy to me for that. The same way you could look at that woman who was caught in adultery. Bump all the other stuff we be looking at. This man had a woman in a spot, man. He could have let her get condemned. He said, baby, don't nobody condemn you? She said, no, Lord. He said, I don't either. Go and sin no more. Now, when you sit back and you look at you in a situation where you literally could have died and it was justified, and he said, baby, don't even worry about it. I ain't going to do that to you. Just tighten up on your backstroke, stand up straight and move right. You going to love him or not? He just spared your life and he didn't have to do it. And you know you're supposed to die. You got caught in the very act. You're supposed to die. And you know it. You ain't going to love that man for the rest of your life? You're going to take that opportunity, that mercy, and be like, shoot, I can do it again. He'll probably do that for me again. You know how wicked of a mind that is, man? My God, today. But yeah. Verse 9, Joel chapter 1. He said the meat offering and the drink offering is cut off from the house of Yahuwah. But that's Yahushua. He is the meat offering and the drink offering, and he's cut off. That day. Amen, Mika. Amen. I would hope and wager that every soul under heaven who's had an opportunity to taste of the good word of God would look at it that way, Mika, to be 100% honest with you. Because coming into unleavened bread / Passover season, it's a multitude of things. Because, we don't necessarily say, okay, it's Passover. We got to talk about coming out of Egypt or talk about his death. It get interwoven in. But the one thing with this time period come around is you have to understand that this time of the year is freedom time. That's what this time of year signifies. Coming out of Egypt signified the salvation from the oppression of bondage, of servitude. And then you turn back around and the Lord come around and he doing the same thing, but this time it's the salvation from the oppression of bondage of sin and therefore death. So it's about being free. You know what I'm saying? See, some people think when I mention like, hey, boy, I've been up that road, this, that, and the third, because I look at being in prison the same way that I look at the word, man. Nigga, I was behind the fence, man. Nigga, I couldn't get up and leave. I sat there and watched people get slapped in the face for walking outside a yellow line, man. I seen men get beat to death. I'm watching people getting oppressed. So when that EOS date came, okay, you free now. You think I'm finna put myself back in a position to be in bondage again? To be oppressed again? Willfully and wantonly by going out here and committing felonious activities? No word was involved. I ain't no word. Yahuwah is my witness before whom I stand, man. When I was standing in front of that judge, man, when I was going in that county, man, my homeboy from Brooklyn say, how much time they gonna give you? I say, man, 5 years, man. He say, how you know? I say, I just know. This is what came in my brain the entire time before I got sentenced. And when I was standing in front of Judge Lansday, I heard 5 years minister in my spirit. That's what that man said out of his mouth. And when I stood right there, I calculated in my mind, it's 2005. I say, by the time I get out, Lil Muffin will be 18 years old and she can do for herself. I'm not selling nothing. And I will sleep up under an underpass. Before I sell any amount of drugs, this was June 16, 2005. You know what I'm talking about? I had already, I'm good on that. So when April 1st, 2009 rolled around, man, and I walked up out of Tallahassee Road Prison, I'm like, yeah, man, I'm not coming back in here, man. I'm free. I'm not going back. I'm not going back to that. So then when the word come, about a month and a half later, and then we can read John 8, and he said, hey, man, and you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. And if the son of Adam shall make you free, you shall be free indeed. So then you sit back, and the word is the same thing. This man done caught you dead in your sins. You ought, instead of going to prison, you ought to go to the grave, that prison house. But instead of doing that, I'm going to drop the charges. You know what I'm talking about? You think I'm finna go back to jail, nigga? You think I'm finna go back to doing X, Y? It was the same thing. That's how it clicked in my brain. And I'm not finna go back to doing X, Y, Z to get locked up again. Hell no. I told you that before, man. It's the most humiliating situation you would ever want to be in. You don't want to subject yourself to humiliation. That man say sin is a reproach to any people. The way of transgressors is hard. Sin brings humiliation and shame. So why would you willfully subject yourself to humiliation and shame that you was delivered from? He set you free from that. Why are you going back to it? Is you stupid? Is you dumb? If you ever look at anybody who go back and forth to jail and you got something negative to say about them and you going back and forth to sin, you a bold-faced hypocrite. Because what's the difference between you and them? Not nothing. Not nothing. They behind the prison. They behind a prison door. You behind the prison of sin. You in the prison of death. How you gonna fix your mouth and say something about them? You in the same boat as them. That's why thank you, Yahuwah, for his mercy. Because where would you be without it? You don't know where you would be. You don't know what you'd be doing. You don't know who you'd be with. You don't even know if you would be here. You know what I'm talking about? So when you sit back and you lay on your bed, man, like he tell you, stand in awe and sin not. Commune on your own bed. You know what I'm saying? You got to commune with your own heart, man. You got to commune with your own heart and say, man, what do I want for my soul? Do I really want to be with my God, or do I just want to go through the motions, man, and play games and fake it till I make it? But you're not going to make it faking it. You're going to go to hell. And why would you do that? Like, why would you do that? Like, this is a serious, why would you choose death? What is appealing about that? What is so pleasurable that makes death a legitimate alternative as a choice? That's what you got to ask yourself. Is that really worth it? And I ain't talking about this goofball stuff that people be coming with, man. I'm talking about real deal matters of the heart. I was talking to somebody, they mentioned something, man. Oh, that's what it was. It was like, I might still wear pants or wear wigs. I'm like, baby, we ain't talking about that. We talking about the thoughts and intents of the heart. We talking about the things that come out of the heart. So, that's what the brews like to focus on, man. Where your fringes at? You got pants on. You wear weave. I'm not focusing on that. I really don't give a damn. What your heart look like? What does your heart look like? Because all that other stuff, that's minute. That's minutia, my nigga. You know what I'm saying? You around here running up on people about Sabbath and feast days and dietary law, man. What your heart look like, blood? Is it lasciviousness in there? Is it an evil eye in there? Is it murders in there? Is it blasphemies in there? Is it thefts in there? Is it fornication and idolatries in there? Is it blasphemies in there? Is it hatred and malice in there? Is it strife in there? What you got going on in there, that's way more important. Because you can't, nigga think they perfect because she wears skirts every day. But you evil as hell on the inside. Your inward man is disgusting. It's like going into a house of squalor, into a hoarder's home. You just disgusted as soon as you walk in the door. Yeah, we got to do that. Joel 1 and 10. The field is wasted, the land mourned, for the corn is wasted, the new wine is dried up, the oil languished. Be you ashamed, O you husbandmen, how, O you vine dressers? For the wheat, for the barley, because the harvest of the field is perished, the vine is dried up, the fig tree languished, the pomegranate tree, the palm tree, the apple tree, all the trees of the field are withered, because joy is withered away from the sons of Adam. Gird yourselves and lament, you priests. How, you ministers of the altar? Come lie all night in sackcloth, you ministers of my Elohim. For the meat offering and the drink offering is withholden from the house of your Elohim. And in this instance, cut off from the house of Yahuwah, the priest, Yahuwah's ministers mourn. That's dealing with the apostles. They were sad, and understandably so. Their master died and was taken away from them. But of course, Weeping may endure for a night, but joy come in the morning. So when we're looking at, I'll go straight to Revelation 19. Like I said, we just did Genesis 49 not too long ago. And I do want to get to the part with discernment and judgment that I desire to do. So when you deal with yielding these royal dainties, it yields us to this here, Revelation 19, verse 7. Let us be glad and rejoice and give honor unto him, for the marriage of the Lamb has come, and his wife hath made herself ready. And to her was granted that she should be arrayed in fine linen, clean and white, for the fine linen is the righteousness of the saints. And he said unto me, Right, Baruch are they which are called into the marriage supper of the Lamb. And he said unto me, These are the true sayings of Elohim. I think it's Luke 14 and 26. It'll pop in my mind, man. No, that's not it. I'm sorry. 14 and 15, I'm sorry. Luke 14 and 15. It's another one I won't. We'll get it in a second. He said, when one of them that sat at meat heard these things, he said unto him, Baruch is he that shall eat bread in the malkuth of Elohim. Now, when you see that he yield royal dainties and that bread make fat, that's what that bread is going to take you to eat that in the dominion of the Almighty. Shalom, 10K. Hold on a second. I think it's I always forget what his verse said. I know it in my brain. Come over here to Luke 11 real quick. One time for the one time. Luke 11, what? 23, 24, 25. It's 27 is fine. It came to pass, as he spake these things, a certain woman of the company lifted up her voice and said unto him, Baruch is the womb that bare you. Shalom. And the paps which you have sucked. But he said, Yea, Baruch are they that hear the word of Elohim and guard it, that keep it. And that's what you have to remember. Blessed is the individual that hear the word and keep it close to him. Guard it with your whole mind, heart, and soul. That's something that you have to remember. It ain't just about how much words you heard, how much words you can hear, but how much words you guard. Because that's when you'll be blessed. Let's hit this 4 and 12, though. Hebrews, I should say. Because I know we was dealing with judgment last week. And like I said, that's one of the weightier matters of the law. And that's something that is grossly overlooked and disregarded on a regular basis. Because the only time people want to deal with judgment is when they want to point out what somebody else has done wrong. But you got to have judgment and skill to discern a multitude of things. Not just what somebody else doing, not even necessarily what you doing, but to be able to have the discernment and judgment, man, to have insight and understanding. You say, it get you wisdom, but in all you'll get understanding. We get in the word and act like dummies. And when I say act like dummies, I'm talking about dummies in life. It's like all the skill and perception that you may have had before you was in the word is now it just go out the window. And now you just moving around like a simpleton. As if you can't ascertain and discern people's intentions, that somebody may be ungodly or somebody, like to hear people say, we don't know who the wheat and the tares is. To hear people say, we don't know who's of God and of the devil is absolutely insane to me. How do you not know? How do you not know? There is no rational reason or excuse for individuals who say that they immerse themselves in the word of God and they don't know who the wheat and the tare is. That they don't know who the sons of God and the sons of the devil are. That is insane. That is absolutely insane. That means you have no discernment, no wisdom, no understanding, or no knowledge of God whatsoever. That means you don't even know your God. That means you wouldn't know your God. That means you don't know a godly person when you see one. Because some people don't want to say it out loud or admit it. And that very well may be true, boo. That very well may be true. But you better open your goddamn mouth. I know that. Well, you don't have to say it. I'm going to say this here. You don't have to say it out loud in a crowded movie theater and scream fire, but you definitely need to say it to yourself. Okay, that person over there evil as hell. We just read it the other day. He say mark them and avoid them. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you have to take knowledge of them and then deal with them accordingly. It is what it is. 4 and 12, Hebrews, for the word of Elohim, quick and powerful, sharper than any two-edged sword, piercing even to the dividing of sunder of soul and ruach, and of the joints and marrow, and is a discerner of the thoughts and intents of the heart. What does that mean? When we look at it, that word is quick, which we know that means to make alive, to live, to breathe, to be among the living, not lifeless, not dead. So understand that the word of Elohim is alive and it's powerful, which means it's active, it's effectual, it's operative. It's alive and it's going to give you a benefit. And it's sharper than any two-edged sword. Now, when you look at piercing, this is to go through, to penetrate, to pierce, to reach through. So we want to come over here to Luke 2 and 25 real quick. And maybe just look at this here in Acts. Because you know, a lot of people always talk about that's a cut, that's a cut. And that's all well and good. Oh, you can't hear me? I'm sorry. Can you hear me now? What's going on with this thing? I need to take this thing off charge. Or did I cover the microphone? Yes, ma'am. You can hear me, Mama Steph? I might have covered the microphone. Yes, ma'am. Well, I just said Luke 2 and 25. Luke 2 and 25. And behold, there was a man in Jerusalem whose name was Simeon, the same man just and devout, waiting for the consolation of Yasharal. The Ruach HaKodesh was upon him. And it was revealed unto him by the Ruach HaKodesh that he should not see death before he had seen Yahuwah's Hamashiach. And he came by Ruach into the temple, and when the parents brought in the son, Yahusha, to do for him after the custom of the law, then he took him up in his arms and Baruch Elohim and said, Lord, now let your servant depart in shalom according to your word. For my eyes have seen your salvation, which you have prepared before the face of all people, a light to lighten the Gentiles, and to the esteem of your people Yasharal. And Joseph and his mother marveled at those things which were spoken of him. And Simeon baruched them and said unto Mary his mother, Behold, this is set for the fall and rising of many in Yasharal, and for a sign which shall be spoken against. And yea, a sword shall pierce through your own soul also, that the thoughts of many hearts may be revealed. Now, what do you think he mean by this? That the thoughts of many hearts might be revealed. You know, Isaiah 8 should come to mind. But let's take a look. Now, we just got the same word for pierce again. So we don't have to look. Well, pierce here is a different word. I'm sorry. It's de-ear kamohe. And it's to go through or to pass through. So he's telling you that this sword or this word is going to go through your own soul also. But that most importantly, that the thoughts of many lives, because I don't care about the Greek word for that, is going to be revealed. And when you look at thoughts, it is delegamos, the thinking of a man deliberating within himself, a thought inward in reasoning. The imagination and the reasoning or debates or disputing of man. Your thoughts within yourself, this word going to show it. The Lord is going to make it manifest. He's going to uncover it. So when people tell you you can't know the hearts of men, the book say different. When that word comes, that word going to show it. It's going to reveal who you are every single solitary time. Remember what he said further down in Hebrews 4, he said, we naked unto him whom we had to do. See that word, you can't cover yourself. Man, he said there's nowhere that the workers of iniquity can hide themselves, man. But the word going to shine a light on any and everything we got going on inwardly. It's going to draw it out. It's going to draw it out. You know what I'm saying? I know those couple reels that I put in the story, man, what that lady was talking about. Now, when I heard I did that for a reason, because you can look at that for the word, especially when she was talking about you avoiding adversity or uncomfortable things. See, everybody wants to, you know what I'm saying? All those type of things that people want to avoid and scream this, that, there, and the third, that keeps you from having the mental resolve to waver through adversity. You know what I'm saying? To be able to, you notice that Yahushua told his disciples, he said, I don't pray for them to come out of the world, but that you deliver them from the evil. See, everybody, you want perfect scenarios because you don't have the mental fortitude to deal with a lot of different things. A lot of people are extremely mentally weak. Malachi 3:18, which leads to you being spiritually weak. This doesn't mean that you have to suffer ungodly people in certain situations and circumstances. But if everything has to be ideal and perfect for you to be able to function, that's going to be a hindrance to your entire life. Because you won't have the conflict resolution skills. You won't have the mental fortitude. You're going to be lacking and deficient in a multitude of areas. And you'll get exposed for it every time. You know what I'm saying? Nevertheless, Malachi 3:18, 3:16. Then they that fear Yahuwah spake often one to another. And Yahuwah hearkened and heard, and a book of remembrance was written before him for them that feared Yahuwah and thought upon his name, and they shall be mine, saith Yahuwah of hosts. In the day when I make up my jewels, I will spare them as a man spares his own son that serve him. Then shall you return and discern between the righteous and the wicked, and between him that serve Elohim and him that serve him not. Now, when you look at discern in Malachi chapter 3, and this one here is Ra'ah. Now you can have a multitude of different words depending on the passage. It's not guaranteed to be Ra'ah every time, and that is to look, to see, to perceive, to consider, to give attention to discern, to distinguish. So you have now, of course, 1 John 3 tell you, he that commits sin is of the devil. He that born of Elohim don't commit sin. And in this we know the children of God and the children of the devil. You know what I'm saying? But what we're trying to get to is an extreme amount of nuance for the purposes of discussing judgment in regards to what we're looking at in Isaiah 11 that we discussed previously from Isaiah 11. So when you look at it, he said this is dividing asunder, because we just talked about it's piercing, it's to pierce through. Now we want to talk about, well, what is it to divide asunder? And this is meramos, and that's to separate or cleave, to cleave asunder or to separate. So at this particular instance, when this word come in, he trying to separate your soul and spirit. Now, what do you think this means with the separation of your nephash and your ruach? Because I don't care about the Greek word for it. What do you think this is going to point to, separating your nephash and your ruach? Now, of course, I'll give you this one here because it's about the same in definition for the Greek word as it is for nephash, which is psyche. And that's the seat of your feelings and your desires and your affections. So you want to sip, and then when you look at your spirit, of course, that's ruach, that's breath. And it's going to be about the same in Greek, pneuma. They got a whole bunch of other stuff that ain't got nothing to do with nothing. Then, of course, you got your joints and marrow. So why does he mention your joints and marrow? Joints in this instance is the articulation of the body, a joint, harmos. And then marrow, mahlos, marrow, the marrow, which in this instance is your blood. What do you think this means when he say he wants to separate your soul and spirit? Your joints and marrow. Because Ezekiel 37 should come to mind with the joints. If he's separating the joints and marrow and take you back to Ezekiel 37, they were flesh and what? Bone. When Yahushua rose from the dead, what was he? Flesh and bone. There was no blood. The life is in the blood, but it's the Ruach that quickened the flesh profiteth nothing. The words that I speak unto you, they are Ruach and they are life. So the word is to separate you, when you talk about joints and marrow, to separate the spiritual man from the carnal man. When you're sitting back and you look at that sword trying to separate the soul and Ruach, he's trying to separate your lust and your affections out of you so that you can live by the Ruach. Then he said, this is a discerner of the thoughts and intents of your heart. And this is the part that we want to look at, which is a discerner. Well, what is it discerning? Relating to judging, fit for judging, skill in judging. Now, that's the only time that Greek word is used. But we're going to take that particular instance of when he said he tried the heart and the reins in other places. Because now he's telling you that his word is related to judging. And what is he trying to judge? Your thoughts and the intents of your heart. When you look at thoughts, it is enthomesis. That is your devices or your thoughts. And we'll grab that verse out of Proverbs for what we mean. Give that a little better insight. And then your intents. That is enoyah, the act of thinking, the mind, the understanding, the will, manner of thinking, or your intent of your mind. Now, come over here to the book of Proverbs. What it is, 16? That page ain't in here, and I already know that. So I don't even know why I even went to turning that page when I know that page is not in this book. Come in Proverbs 16, I believe. Oh, that's not right. Oh, Proverbs 24:9. I'm sorry. Proverbs 24:9. And then we'll work around to the rest of it. And it tells you that the thought of foolishness is sin, and the scorner is an abomination to men. Now, thought in this instance is zimma, and that is a plan, a device, an evil plan, a mischievous purpose. So when you look at thought, it's not just the thought of, I'll shoot this person. But then you cast that thought down and you don't do them. Kind of like the parable when he say a man had two sons. He told him to go work in his vineyard. One said he would go, but he didn't go. One said he wasn't going to go, but repented and went. Which one did the will of his father? Who can answer that question? One said he would go, but didn't go. One said he wouldn't go, but did go. Which one did the will of his father? That's your final answer. Of course, it's the one who went. Though the thought in his mind was to disobey, he cast that thought and went. But the other one might have said out of his mouth that he would go. You know what I'm saying? But the evil plan he had in his heart from the jump street was never to go. See, that's the thought of foolishness, the evil plan, the plan that you put together to disobey, the plan that you put together to circumvent righteousness, the plan that you put together to circumvent holiness, godliness, faithfulness, all things that are just and good before Yahuwah, a plan that's put together to implement selfishness, anything that is contrary to the goodness and righteousness of the living Elohim, point blank period, ain't even nowhere around. You know what I'm talking about? Now, we're going to read Chronicles 28:9, First Chronicles, that is. Indeed, David with Nabal, and David got good counsel, and he got good counsel to do what? To not seek vengeance for himself. You know what I'm saying? Because on the natural side of things, he would have did it. Peace, Brother Joseph, man. And he wouldn't have necessarily been condemned for it, but it wasn't a godly thing to do. Remember, like Paul say, all things are not expedient. See, let me give you a cycle of things naturally and spiritually, right? As a man, right? I can't tell none of y'all what to do in your house. So if you was in your house and you said, hey, I want anything that's done, it's got to benefit me first. That's your business. But I be telling y'all this because one day I will be dead. That's not a statement of shock value. That's not a statement of anything. That is the actual truth. But when it come down to the house of God, are you going to remember that you can never do nothing that benefits you first? That if you have the mind of, oh, this is easier for me, this is beneficial for me, this is beneficial for my household first, you out of pocket. You completely out of pocket all the way around the board. And when you look at David, he never did that. When you look at Yahushua, he never did that. The apostles weren't teaching people to do that. We can't. What you do in your own personal home is your business. I ain't got nothing to do with that if it don't go against the law of God. You understand? But when it comes to this right here, ain't nobody supposed to be seeking their own. He literally say you're supposed to take the opportunity of your liberty to serve each other with love and to not prefer one, but prefer somebody else before yourself. Because this is the literal template that this man said. When you look at Moses, he didn't esteem what he wanted before the people. And Samuel didn't either. These were two men that said, I ain't take nothing from y'all. Moses sat in the seat as a king. He could have easily done that. David could have easily done that. You seen the promise that Yahuwah gave from Samuel since y'all wanted the king. He had Solomon tax the brakes off y'all. You know what I'm talking about? Like straight up and down. Well, he said, hey, man, he said, I'm going to make the loins thicker than what my daddy did to you. Like, yeah, man. But when you look at David, man, David ain't never put the people behind him. That's what got Saul killed, man. Saul was worried about putting himself before what God said to do. He was worried about what's going to benefit me. That's what got him cut off. It's not just, oh, he didn't kill the sheep. He didn't kill the sheep because he wanted the sheep. He wanted to do what he wanted. It benefit me, so I'm going to do that. And blame it on the people. Because the people wanted that, but the reality was Saul wanted it too. So I'm going to put my selfish desire, man, selfish motivation to get you killed every time, man, God cut you off. You know what I'm talking about? That's not how Yahuwah rolls. That's not his operation. You know what I'm talking about? We have to remember that because we're supposed to be putting on Yahushua HaMashiach and perfecting godly character to move like him. And you have to remember that. That's why I mention these things repeatedly. Because one day, I ain't going to be here, man. You're going to have to remember that. Because if you don't remember it now, you ain't going to remember to tell it to people later. He said even after he got off, he wanted the praise and esteem of others. Yeah. Man, Saul was wilding. Because the only thing that Saul was concerned with is what benefited him. That's all he was concerned with. It can happen to you. Let me tell you something, man. That junk can creep in on you easier than you think. You know what I'm talking about? Selfishness is a disease that has to be cut out. That junk like a cancerous tumor. You just got to cut that out. You can't leave a bit of it in there. One bit of selfishness, man, it'll overall destroy your whole soul, man. I'm talking about how you going the wrong way in a heartbeat. 28 and 9. You can make it 7. Shoot, 6 is even better. Joanne, let it go. Don't be hard-headed. (28 and 6) Chronicles. And he said unto me, Solomon your son, he shall build my house and my courts, for I have chosen him to be my son, and I will be his father. Moreover, I will establish his kingdom forever if he be constant to do my commandments and my judgments as it this day. Now, therefore, in the sight of all Yasharal, the congregation of Yahuwah, in the audience of our Elohim, keep and seek for all the commandments of Yahuwah your Elohim, that you may possess this good land and leave it to an inheritance for your sons after you forever. And you, Solomon, my son, know you the Elohim of your Abba, and serve him with a perfect heart and with a willing mind. For Yahuwah search all hearts and understand all the imagination of the thoughts. If you seek him, he will be found of you. But if you forsake him, he will cast you off forever. Now, for those who are not familiar, what does it mean to serve him with a perfect leb? In this instance, perfect is shalem, which is complete, safe, peaceful, perfect, whole, a covenant of peace, complete of keeping covenant relations. So if we look at, we drinking his blood, which is the covenant in the New Testament in his flesh, then the covenant of serving him with a perfect heart is serving him with faith. You know what I'm talking about? You're serving this man with a complete covenantal heart of faith based off the promises of God. You understand? That's what that means. But when you're serving him with a willing mind, that is kafetz. Now, that is kafetz, nephash, and that's the word we were talking about again, nephash, which is the soul or the living being, the desire, the emotion, or the passion, which again, I'll tell you the same meaning of soul in the Greek. So you serving him with passions that take pleasure in him. That's what willing is, to have pleasure, the desiring, to delight in. Remember what we read that he said he take pleasure in? Loving kindness, judgment, and righteousness. These are the things that he take pleasure in. Which goes back to the weightier matters of the law, mercy, judgment, and faith, which is why he says it's to discern of the thoughts and intents of the heart. That man word gonna swing, and he gonna be able to have the skill to judge what's in your inward man. And he want to, but the key thing though, he want to take that same word and separate those passions from your soul so you can be perfect. Because in that soul, in that nephash, see that ruach, that's that breath that keep you alive. But the nephash, that's where your inward man is, and that's where your emotions and your desires and all those things. But that's where that's at. And you got to get those emotions and desires and longings that are contrary to the will of God. You got to get that up out of that. You got to get that up out of that. Now, of course, he say he searched all the hearts, and he know all the imaginations and the thoughts. When you look at imaginations, it's yet search. And that is your purpose, your imagination, your intellectual framework. That man know your mind. You understand? And he gonna search it. But he gonna search it with his word, though. And he gonna search it with life situations. And of course, thoughts is Maka Ashabah, and that's your device, plans, and purposes. The things that you create to do. See, a lot of people don't realize, and we're going to get to that, him searching the hearts of men. He said he tried the reins, and Jeremiah 17, just so you can see where he said it. He said he tried the reins and he tried a heart to give every man according to his work. Jeremiah 17 and 9. The heart is deceitful above all and desperately wicked. Who can know it? I, Yahuwah, search the heart. I try the reins, even to give every man according to his ways, according to the fruit of his doings. So when it come down to, because we got to have the ability, because some of these people who these people be listening to, I just be wondering, like, how you ain't know this nigga was wicked as hell? How could you not tell? Because this man be trying people harder. He make it plain. You can see it. Like, what's really going on? I ain't going to get to everything I planned in my brain to do. I'll see that now. Because then we'll just be going all night and all day. But I do want to end in 1 Kings chapter 3. I do want to go to 1 Kings chapter 3 on general principles. Like I said, I know we were talking about Judgment Wednesday, and we were talking about judgment last week. And it's very, very important. I want you to come over here to 1 Kings chapter 3 and verse 5. And Gibeon and Yahuwah appeared to Solomon in a dream by night. And Elohim said, ask what I shall give you. And Solomon said, you have showed unto your servant David, my father, great mercy, according as he walked before you in truth and in righteousness and uprightness of heart with you. And you have kept for him this great kindness, that you have given him a son to sit on his throne as it is this day. And now, O Yahuwah my Elohim, you have made your servant king instead of David, my father. I am but a little child. I know not how to go out or to come in. And your servant is in the midst of your people, which you have chosen, a great people that cannot be numbered nor counted for multitude. Give therefore your servant an understanding heart to judge your people, that I may discern between good and bad. For who is able to judge this, thy so great a people? Now, here's the question. Who knows what it said in Hebrews about judging between good and bad? Who knows what it said in Hebrews about that off the top of their head? Or if you got a general idea where it's at, you can go ahead and look at it. When he asked for understanding Leb, he asked for Shema, which in this instance is, to hear, to listen, to obey. But one of them is the ability to hear judicial cases. The ability to have a heart to where that you can actually hear, to not judge after the hearing of your ears, nor of the seeing of your eyes, but according to the fear of Yahuwah. Not judging according to appearance, but judging righteously. Not judging according to your desires, not judging according to respective persons, but righteously. This is what Solomon asked for. And of course, we talked about Dan the other day, which is the judge. And we talked about him judging. And now judge here in this instance, of course, is Shaphat, which is the judge, to govern, to vindicate, to punish, or to act as a lawgiver, or to rule, or to govern, or to decide controversy. In this instance, he is not seeking to condemn or judge. He wants to have the ability to judge controversy. Because he wants the ability to discern between good or bad. And discern in this instance is benay, which is the word used for understanding. To discern, to understand, to consider. Discerning intelligence. To cause to understand. To be prudent, to regard. Between Tob and Ra. Anybody knew what it says in Hebrews about that? About discerning? Nobody? Let's go to Hebrews 5. It's okay. Hebrews 5 and 11. He said, of whom we have many things to say, hard to be uttered, seeing you are dull of hearing. For when the time comes that you ought to be teachers, and you have need that one teach you again, which be the first principles of the oracles of Elohim, and have become such as have need of milk and not of strong meat. For everyone that use milk is unskillful in the word of righteousness, for he is a babe. But strong meat belongs to them who are of full age, even those who by reason of use have their senses exercised, just to discern both good and evil. Well, what does that mean? You got your senses exercised. Because he said by reason of use. Of course, use here is hexis, power acquired by custom, practice, or use. So if you haven't used this particular custom, then you will not have exercised your senses. Your senses in this instance is Asher-Te-Reon, and that's the faculty of the mind for perceiving, understanding, and judgment. So you won't have no judgment if you ain't been using the word. Your judgment gonna be off. This is how you know a nigga who don't obey and don't have faith. What judgment can they have? They can't have none. When you look at what it is to discern, this is decoresis, distinguishing, discerning, judging, a judicial estimation. Again, so by reason of use, you have your judgment exercise that you can make judgment between good and evil, the very thing that Solomon was asking about, which are the weightier matters of the law. So coming into this week of unleavened bread, and like I said, we locked in on this Isaiah 11, and we trying to pull out the things in Deuteronomy 33. I didn't even get a Deuteronomy 33 with Asher this evening. Y'all willing, we do it Friday. In Genesis 49 and pulling things from the resurrection of the dead. But as I go back to Isaiah 11, and the reason why my mind is gravitating in this direction is because of what I just referenced just a moment ago, and which is in verse 2. That the Ruach of Yahuwah shall rest upon him, the Ruach of wisdom, understanding, counsel, might, the Ruach of knowledge and the fear of Yahuwah, and shall make him of quick understanding in the fear of Yahuwah, and he shall not judge after the sight of his eyes, neither reprove after the hearing of his ears, but with righteousness shall he judge the poor, and reprove with equity for the meek of the earth. And the point of that is this, that if we not using the word, then our judgment is going to be off. Using the word is not about how many precepts you can recite back. It's not about how many questions you can answer. It's about, do you know, according to the word, which is that which is good and that which is bad, according to the righteousness of Yahuwah, not your own personal estimation. Can you discern which is good and bad according to the character of Yahuwah, the spirit of Yahuwah, not your spirit, not your character? You know what I'm talking about? Because again, in closing, we are at the time of year that for us signifies freedom, liberty. You know, free among the dead, kof shay, free from all manner of tax obligation and slavery. When they left from up out of Egypt, they were free from bondage. They were free. When Yahushua rose from that dead, you were made free. Stay free. So hallelujah for Yahushua the word. Because remember, your forefathers wanted to go back to bondage. They didn't want to stay free. I appreciate y'all. Now bless y'all the house of Elohim in the name of Yahushua. Y'all know next Tuesday night, Lord willing, is the beginning of the week of unleavened bread. 8:30. Times is in the community tab. The times is in the community tab. You know what I'm saying? I didn't put it in an announcement group chat, but I would recommend that y'all niggas look at that type of stuff. Because what's the point of having a community tab and announcements and you don't read it? Take the time to go read it. It's there. That's what it's there for. Shalom. You know what I'm saying? That's what it's there for. Screenshot it. Keep it in your back pocket. Sear it in your mind. You know what I'm talking about? So nevertheless. So remember, y'all willing. Beginning on Shalom, Sister Regina. Amen. Tuesday night, 8:30. That'll begin. Service be every day after that. Amen, Brother Marcus. Love you too, man. So until the following Tuesday night, the night of the 8th, will be the last day. Which really is truth be told, that don't even Yahuwah Brute me. That don't really count because I got to come back Wednesday anyway, night regardless. You know what I'm talking about? So it's really gonna be 9 days in a row. Because yeah, the feast end Tuesday, I'm gonna be working Wednesday night regardless. So it's 9 days in a row. So there's that. So be advised, and y'all willing till the next time.